Hey everyone, it is Tuesday, October 20th, 2020, and you are listening to the MC Gamescast. I am one of your hosts, Mitchell Barrett, twitch.tv/Team Llama Squad, and I am joined by the one, the only, twitch.tv/Charzar81, Charlie Zarzuela. Charlie, I'm back, baby!
Welcome back, man. How you feel to be back?
It feels fantastic to be back.
In the driver's seat.
Back in the driver's seat. It feels fantastic to be here. I was out on assignment, and that assignment was to not fucking do any type of streaming.
How's that thumb?
It's great. It's healed. It's healed very nicely. Smithy, to answer your question, jail was fine. I showed my dominance early. And so everything went great. Hello, Smithy. It's wonderful to see you. So we're doing episode 13, and the title of this episode is Rocket League is the best game ever. And it's great to be back. I took a little sabbatical. It felt great. It feels great to be back, though. How was your weekend? I know that you were working on a big project.
Well, it was the wifey's birthday, and due to social distancing, I got a little creative over the weekend, got a little, let's say, nostalgic in regards to reaching out to all our friends, our family, in regards to sending a little video, and I got back to my roots regarding video production. Gosh, it's been a decade since I've dug into Adobe Premiere Pro. That sucker has changed a lot, but had to put the training wheels back on, learn how to navigate through that sucker again, and learn how not easy that program can be, and especially after you start to finalize things and realize, oh, I forgot one more thing, and it was frustrating. But, frustrating in a good way.
Yeah, for sure. I used to use Adobe Premiere a lot back in the day when I was making short films. And Well, back in the day, I made short films.
He didn't. His thumb was a little more dynamic back then.
That's right. Not so much anymore. I have yet to see the video. I want to see the video. It sounds like it was fun. I had a little thing in it. It was fun to do. I wanted to do more, but my thumb was an issue. I attempted a tribute to Eddie Van Halen, and man, Eddie Van Halen, I am not. R.I.P. Eddie Van Halen. I didn't do shit this weekend, and it was wonderful. Aside from, we'll talk about it in a minute, but and then last night watched that debacle on TV, which, you know what? I don't even wanna. We're not even going to. We can't.
That's why I'm wearing this.
Yeah. I just
recent memories. These are feel good memories here.
Yeah, we're not. We don't need to do this. But yeah, it was a good weekend. I'm feeling good. I think sometime this week I'm gonna get back in the saddle, or on the saddle, not in the saddle, on the saddle. Not sure when that'll be. Probably closer to the weekend. We'll see. It's been nice. I have to be honest. It's been awesome not streaming. It's been awesome playing video games for myself. I love streaming. I love streaming for all the people that care to watch me stream, but also it's been nice to not do that for a bit. And it made me realize that it's okay to not. It's been a rough couple weeks. Charlie, you know some of the details. That's for not on here, but it's been nice. You two haven't.
Can I lift your spirits a little bit?
Well, of course. That's what we're all about, lifting spirits.
Breaking news: My wife loved your solo, and she thanks you so much for that.
Oh, excellent!
She thought it was one of the best parts of the video.
It was fun. It really was a lot of fun. I first of all, thank you for reminding me, because I totally forgot. But it was a lot of fun doing it. I won't tell you how many takes I did of different...
I was going to ask you that.
It was a lot. Like I did, and like I told you, I tried to do different things. And like the take that I did only took like one or two times. because it wasn't that difficult of one to do. But the other stuff I tried to do, so I spent some time on it.
To put in
And
context for the listeners, so I reached out to everyone to grab some videos wishing my wife happy birthday and such. And Mitch pretty much went above and beyond the Call of Duty and played her a solo of happy birthday on the electric guitar, which was pretty rad.
yeah, it was fun. First of all, I haven't played electric guitar in a long time, so it did take a couple of times of like off recording to kind of figure out the right tune. But once I found it, it went pretty well. It was fun. I'm glad she liked it. I'm glad she liked the whole thing. That was a really cool thing that you did. That's a good thinking outside the box, especially in these times. So what do you say we talk some video games, Charlie?
Oh
That's
man, I got plenty to talk
that's
about.
what
How
we're
about you?
that's what we're here for. So I'm gonna get mine out of the way because I've been away from streaming since God, it's been 10 days now, and so I've had
Been 10
all
days since you looked at me.
I
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, and that's the podcast for this week. It's too early. It's too early. No, I'm kidding. I had 10 days, so I had all this time to play video games. So what did I do? I just played Rocket League. That's all I did. That's all I did. I am so obsessed with that game. I finally hit platinum rank. Even got as high as platinum 3 and then got put in my place, and I'm back down to platinum, right at the brink of platinum 1 and 2. Won a couple official tournaments.
Hey, there you go.
Yeah, and it was I played 12 hours on Saturday.
Whoa.
So yeah. Yeah,
Might be a little more than an obsession.
I love it. I love it so much. And they just
Wow,
started
levels here.
they just started a Halloween seasonal like limited time with Ghostbuster stuff. And so you can
Yeah, I saw that.
you can do challenges and unlock Ghostbuster stuff. It's all kinds of it's neat stuff. My car topper is currently Slimer. You know, it's that game's just it's so tremendous. It's so good, and everybody I know is playing it, and I love it. Everybody's downloaded it because it's free to play, and it's so great to see. Our good friend Lead Asian just started playing. He had a goal that he didn't know was a goal earlier that we saw, and then our friend Sturm is playing as well. Like a lot of people are playing it, so it's great to see people play Rocket League. But I'm going to shut up about Rocket League because that's all I ever talk about. Charlie, you played some stuff, and I want to hear about it. Get to the two things that you've played before, and then we'll save the big one for last. Go ahead.
Oh, the big one? Okay. So, still playing Resident Evil 2. If you haven't checked my stream, Char's already won. Oh my god, I already got scared by one of the first major bosses. I pretty much jumped out of my shorts. That was awesome. That game is awesome. I'm looking forward to resuming my stream on Thursday. Budgets have been kicking my ass this year. Well, that's, just a segue a little to the side from work. So, playing a game as intense as Resident Evil 2, I literally have to piecemeal this sucker because I like sleep.
Yeah.
And I get really sutured into games like that. I get really sutured into watching movies, watching scary movies, and I've been, tackling those along the way as well in regards to this month, Halloween, one of my favorite months of the year. And yeah, RE2 is great. It's really, really good. Another game I've been playing, Super Mario Kart 8. I jumped back into that because, as people know from last week, I got a Switch. The Switch is really, really, really cool. I didn't really go too much into the aesthetics of it, but I have heard through the grapevine that Super Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is ridiculously good. From my understanding, it's still the same as Super Mario Kart 8 from the Wii U. It's pretty much with all the intangibles. You've got the Splatoon stuff added to it, but, for the most part, it's still the same. Not really yet to dive into buying the same game when I have it already.
There's probably no reason.
I understand, for multiplayer reasons, especially to play with you, to play with, our fellow friend Erin the Great. I don't know if she's online yet tonight. She said she was going to be, but that happens. We are churning up a little competition as to who is the best at this thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I picked that up, and I realized how bad I am at that game when I'm not in regular practice of it.
Right.
I got rolled just playing the 100cc level, and it takes a while to get your legs underneath you when it comes to that game. It's still a gorgeous game, especially again with me getting the Switch. I obviously got the Nintendo channel and the Super Nintendo channel. Super Mario Kart, to preface, is a great game. Graphics wise, oh man, what they did back in the day was revolutionary. It doesn't hold up too much.
Yeah.
You're comparing an 8-bit Apple to something from real life.
Right.
And that's just not fair.
Right.
The capabilities of the Super Nintendo were stretched to their maximum. Not with that game, but you could put that entire cartridge basically into 1 pixel on the back of Mario from Mario Kart 8.
Right.
The tracks are really, really good. They're really, really challenging. Obviously, there are a lot more characters that you can sample and experiment with. There are more carts. There are more customization. It's a fun game. It's fun. It's fun. So there's that game. And finally, I guess, can I go into the big one?
Let me just say something about Mario Kart 8, if you don't mind.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So when it comes to upgrading to the Switch version, what I would say there is that if you can find it for $30 or less, then I would jump on that. Just because, one, you're getting everything that had been offered, and plus the Splatoon stuff, and then you're talking the multiplayer stuff that you can play with, whoever, the world, and us. But yeah, I if you have played the Wii U version to death, then I would say if you can't find it for anything less than 30, I would hold off, because there's so much better stuff that you haven't tried at all, like the next game, that I would rather recommend you do. So go ahead and get into that new thing you played.
Well, we've sunk our teeth, the wife and I, into Super Mario Odyssey. We've heard great things about this game, this journey that we're on, and it's a fantastic opening salvo to the Mario installments on the Switch. Mm-hmm. Am I getting that right? That's the first true Mario game on the Switch that hasn't been ported over.
Exactly.
Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
It's the first 3D Mario, official 3D Mario game since Galaxy 2.
Galaxy 2, yeah. And it is a piece of work. It is a piece of art. The things that you can do in that game, I mean, as cheesy as I thought Captain Mario was, it's about the same level, I think, that Cappy is innovative.
Yeah.
If you get my drift.
Yeah.
And it's just so cool to traverse these huge open worlds. You get to do and go and be whatever you want. You get to buy all these random costumes and just have fun with it.
Yeah.
And, if you buy a certain costume, you get to interact with a certain character, an NPC player, and that opens up into a whole brand new world. I love the seamless transition from 3D to 2D.
Oh,
that
it's
thing
so good.
So good, and it's so creative, and it's very challenging in a way that Super Mario World has yet to be. Like there was a moment where, I'm trying to describe it. You were on a pillar, and we were trying to figure out how to get from side A to side B, and all of a sudden there's this random chasm, and we didn't even realize, just based upon the painting schemata in the background, which way gravity would fold. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden we had jumped, and we were now upside down, and we're like, oh, this is how this puzzle works. And so it's really, really, I don't want to say it's really easy, but how it translates to the player when you're playing new. Like we've never played this thing before, and so that it lets you traverse each part of the world. It challenges your brain a little bit, not to the point where you're just like, okay, no, I got to walk away from this. You want to continue to hammer in until you get through that particular puzzle and through to the moon.
Yeah.
Um, if I do have any type of criticism about it, I don't like the bosses. I, the rabbit things are
Yes.
initially was like, oh, okay, like these are cool or whatever. But my first immediate reaction was, where are the Koopalings?
Dude, okay, so
Where's
yes.
where is Bowser Jr.? Like these are the
Right.
tried and true. I get they're trying to introduce a brand new,
Yeah.
um, category of mini boss or mini villain, but
Sure.
Rabbit,
No, I don't.
I don't know.
It.
That was real weird to me.
It's so funny. It felt like because that game came out after Mario and Rabbids. It almost feels like that was. So we get so okay. If we let you do Mario and Rabbids, Ubisoft, you got to put Rabbids in our new Mario game because they're very Rabbids like. I didn't care for the rabbit thing either because I they're in it too much. I mean, you've
Okay.
probably in the limited amount of time that you've played it, you've seen them, multiple times at this point.
We've seen them a couple of times. Again, not to spoil anything. You've played through the game, so this
Hmm.
really in spoiler too much. We're through the I don't know how else to
Go ahead.
curtail this. The Mexican desert.
Yeah, yeah, no, yeah.
So we've heated everything up finally, and by beating the rabbit and
Hmm.
not the rabbit, but the Aztec god. I don't know what you call that thing. That was an awesome boss fight. And so at first we were again, this is going to go back to the innovation of Cappy. So we were like, okay, how are we going to beat this thing? Like this is a giant like hand, and by sheer accident, we were trying to throw the cap to jump up higher and stomp on the hand.
Hmm.
Well, we overthrew it, and the cap assumed the fist,
Yeah,
and they were like, oh, okay, so we have to punch this fucker in the face.
yeah,
And so, we were like, oh, okay, this is how this works. Going back to the rabbits I could do without. But the actual fights that
yeah.
I've had so far, those have been really, really good
They've
fights.
been very good. They've been very imaginative, and it goes to Cappy
Yes.
because look, I think I like Super Mario Sunshine a lot, but that felt way more like a gimmick than what Cappy is. Cappy is not a gimmick because they use it so well in that game. The move set that just the general move set of Cappy is incredible, and then the amount of different things that you can take over and the way that they use those in puzzles and in boss fights is incredibly smart. And it's I and they're obviously making another one of these, and I really hope they just make an Odyssey 2 because I would love to see them continue to use Cappy and innovate on that even more. I guess iterate, not innovate, but iterate on that even more.
Yeah.
And it's and Mario games have been like this since the beginning of time all the way through. It looks phenomenal. They got so much out of the Switch, and that was year 1 of the Switch. And it plays wonderful. There's no camera issues like in other ones.
No.
It's such a joy.
Someone learned about the right stick.
Exactly. And right. And yeah, oh, the right sticks for the camera control? No way. And I really like is that you talked about the 2D stuff. That is obviously, mostly for nostalgia but the way that they implement it is incredibly smart. The puzzles that you do via those 2D levels are incredibly well made. In you're right that it's not extremely difficult, but it's also not just a complete breeze. Yeah, there's some moons that you get that are very, oh, the moon's over there, I'm gonna go get it.
Oh my God.
But
There were a couple of moments where I was like, oh, well, there's a moon, and like
mm-hmm,
I was like, that was too easy,
right, and
you
there
know.
there are some like that.
Sure. And I figured, like, it's not, I like the fact that it's not a set amount, kind of like Super Mario 64 was,
Right.
where you're like, okay, this world has 6 moons or whatever.
Yeah.
I get that there are a certain amount of moons to activate
Right.
your airship. We're going to go into Final Fantasy
Yeah.
terms here.
Yeah.
Your airship to go to different worlds and such. I want to ask because you played through this game, and I'm really, really, really curious.
Okay.
One of the big things that we all saw in that E3 release several years ago for Mario Odyssey was when Cappy took over the T-Rex.
Yes.
I was I was elated and surprised and thrilled to see that moment occur in the very, very beginning of that game.
Yes.
I was honestly out of the room when my wife was like, "Hey, I just took over this T-Rex and I'm stopping." I'm like, and all I'm thinking, I'm like, well, Cable's just gonna have us play this level over and over and over again.
Uh-huh.
But I guess my question is, are there gonna be moments like that later on?
In terms
Something
of
in terms of grandeur like that, because taking over a T-Rex, that's huge, and I'm like, I'd hate to think that they front loaded that. And I get that that's okay. This is a dynamic to show what Cappy can possibly do.
So I would say that no, that won't be the last time. That won't be the
Okay.
last time. That won't be the last time that you'll be like, "Oh my god, unbelievable." Like this like, "Oh shit, I could take this over."
Yeah.
Like you're going to have more moments of that. I won't say what.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are definitely because I was like you, where I was like, oh, we're gonna just do this T-Rex thing like 20 minutes into this game, huh? And not that it wasn't cool, and it's and you end up using him for kind of multiple reasons, and it's. But yeah, later on there are going to be some things where you're going to be like, oh shit, this is awesome, you're definitely going to have more of those moments, and there are definitely some holy shit moments in that game where you're gonna it's something's gonna happen, you're gonna be like, oh, we're doing this, huh? And it's fantastic. I'm so glad that you picked this as your first big Switch game. It's the little things in that game are like you talked about the costumes. Again, that a lot of that stuff is built in nostalgia, but again, like you said, they use that as gameplay mechanics. You have to be dressed as something to do certain things. And it's really they use all of those little things in such cool ways that it doesn't feel, gimmicky in any way. It's, oh god, it makes me want to play that game again. I want to play that game. I'm going to play that game again.
You should.
I should.
As someone who
Yeah.
played, God, I can't even, measure how long we are into that game because we explore. That's the cool thing I like really, really about this game. And I don't really think we did this much exploring in Galaxy 2. I know my wife and I co-opted that game together.
Yeah.
But man, it's like, and again, unfortunately, my basis is strictly upon the Mexican desert. But it's like, oh, okay, we landed here. Let's go that way. The mapping is kind of cool. I like the fact that when you bring that up, you can kind of see it doesn't give everything away, but it's just like, oh, there's a structure here. We discovered a moon out of nowhere because there was a random shape in the sand.
Yeah.
But there was nothing there. Like, I guess there used to be an ice structure there that had melted after you got rid of the cold or whatever. And so we went back there, and I'm like, well, there's nothing here. And so, using Mario's butt stomp ability, you're like, oh, there is something here.
Mm-hmm.
And we followed a random dog out into the middle of the desert. We're like,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh,
what's
that
this
dog's
dog
great.
doing here?
That dog's
All of a
great.
sudden, the dog starts digging up. I'm like,
Yep.
oh, there's another moon.
Yeah.
And so, while we, yes, those are easy, but those are like nice easy, because
Well, it's
to
the
be honest, to get those other moons for us so far has been challenging. We're still kind of learning the physics. We're still kind
right.
of learning, gosh, the Joy-Con and stuff like
Yeah.
that. We are playing on a pro controller,
Mhm.
which has made it a lot easier for us. But yeah, like, those easier moons, they're nice to get, but I do like the fact that, even though you've reached your limit or can go, to the next world, that you can just stick around and you're like, okay, what else can we do here? So now
Yeah.
I'm really, really looking forward to uncovering the rest of that game.
Well, and you kind of hit the nail on the head talking about, looking at the map and these little things. It gives you like points of interest to go and search. And there's going to be times you're going to go look at it, you go to these ones and there's not going to be anything there. Of course, that's how games work. But Zelda Breath of the Wild is the same way. You pull up your map and you're like, this looks like this is something. Let's just go see. Maybe something maybe something's there. Maybe something's not, but I want to go and look.
Yeah.
It's the sense of exploration in that game is incredible. I'm so glad you're playing it. I'm so glad. It's such a fantastic game. You got anything else on that game?
I want to go play it now. Can we
I
finish the podcast so we can go
And ladies and
play
gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us for episode 13 of the podcast. We're gonna go play. I'm gonna go play Rocket League.
Well, there you go.
And Charlie's gonna go and play some Mario Odyssey. No, we're gonna continue this thing along because next up, ladies and gentlemen, is the news. And we've got ourselves a light news week. That's just kind of how they're gonna be. But
Calm before the storm.
that's right, the calm before the storm. Why don't you, Charlie, start us off with a PS5 update?
Well, so as I reported last week, this report comes in to refute all that because Konami came on about a couple of days ago and confirmed that PT, Silent Hill PT, the playable trailer, will not be available to play on the PS5. That's correct. So everything that I said last week was a lie. Well, so the reason behind that was that the PT is not going to be available on stores through the PS5. And so, just through long story short, there's a systemic reason why purchasing something from the PS4, such as PT, will not be available on PS5. It comes in regards to like that really, really, really short list of games that will not be backwards compatible, and that happens to be one of them. I think it's because in regards to the games that are going to be backwards compatible, you're going to be able to access them through your PS5, and this is not going to be one of them. So,
Yeah.
yes, that bitch demon will die.
Yeah. So
Continue and leave your PS4.
So that thing when it came out was a phenomenon, of course, and it became an even bigger phenomenon because Konami was like, "Nah, we're not going to do it. Screw you, Hideo and Guillermo del Toro. Just go make your game elsewhere. Go do that." Konami is a terrible video game company. They have been for a long time, and they still continue to be.
But they made Turtles in Time.
Yeah. Well, I said for a long time. That doesn't mean that back then they weren't. They basically were like, "Hey, Hideo, we don't like you anymore. Go do what you want." And then he went and did what he wanted. And say what you want about Death Stranding, that thing sold like hotcakes. It was one of the best sellers of that year. That sucks.
Where'd that term come from?
What's that?
Sold like hotcakes.
I don't know, but I like it because I like hotcakes. They're delicious. Hotcakes are delicious.
Hotcakes are delicious. I'm gonna look that up.
So my question is, does anyone actually care that PT's not going to be there?
I mean, enough people have played it. I don't feel like it's one of those things where for nostalgia's sake, you would like to carry it over to the PS5.
Sure.
It's not long enough though, like in my opinion. Even I've not played this thing.
I have it on my
I've
PS4.
seen it played.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen random people's journeys, the funny videos that have come out of this thing.
Oh yeah.
I would have loved to have played it, but to be honest, I've had my time with it, even though I've never played this thing.
Right.
And even though the PS5, I do like the fact that they are going to be backwards compatible a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
It's about moving forward, not
Right.
moving backward, and so
And we kind of talked about backwards compatibility a couple of episodes ago.
yeah,
How
I won't
much
go back into that. Yeah,
how much it really matters. I think it matters a little bit the first year or two, but then once you get past it, it kind of doesn't. And especially when you're talking about basically a demo of a game that never will ever see the light of day.
Yeah.
I just wonder if that matters, if it's there. I think people are mad because it's like, PT, no! And then, 2 weeks from now, nobody will give a shit.
Yeah.
Because it's
unless
just
for some weird dumb reason this gets a was it oh god, Duke Nukem Forever revival.
Well, that's the thing.
So in 2030,
yeah. Well, but that also
we'll
means
be able to
that
play Silent Hills.
well, but then also that means that Hideo won't be on it, and Guillermo del Toro won't be on it, and I
Norman
wouldn't.
Reedus will be a lot older.
Well, and that's the thing is that it
Spoilers.
wouldn't surprise me with Hideo being on his own and kind of getting to do whatever he wants, and then he's teamed up with del Toro. It wouldn't be surprised. It wouldn't be surprising if they did a horror game. It wouldn't be Silent Hill because they can't, but it'll basically be that. It wouldn't surprise me if they did that. They should. I mean, he's already working on his next project, and it's not. He's already said it's not Death Stranding 2.
Well,
Which whatever. There probably doesn't. I like that game, but there probably doesn't need to be a sequel. But yeah, that's weird. That's. I mean, I guess it's not weird. But
we have talked too long about this.
Yeah, we talked too long about PT.
Topic.
Let's go to the next topic. Let's head over to the Xbox side. The Xbox Series S and X are out here in about 3 weeks. I think it's 3 weeks from tomorrow, and then PS5 3 weeks from Thursday. For the Xbox, the Master Chief Collection is going to be all set to go on November 17th. Full upgrade, playable at 120 frames per second, and that's on both the Series S and X. And on the X, it'll be 4K with up to 4-player split screen. That's cool. Like, people fucking love the Master Chief Collection. Like, say what you want about Halo and where it is now. People love that fucking set. It's... Go ahead.
What is one going to look like in 120 frames?
It's going to look ridiculous because they did a full remake of one for the 360, and it looks really good on the Xbox One, and it already runs at 60 frames on the Xbox One. So at 120 and then up-res and cleaned up, it's going to look really good. And 2, 3, and ODST and Reach are on there, and they did the same treatment to Halo 2. So those will look really good. I still want to see what 120 frames means. I feel like I've never seen anything I've played Forza Horizon 4 at 90 frames, and it's kind of insane how good that looks. 120 has got to be pretty insane, and I can't wait to see that. But that's it. It's going to be out November 17th. They're working really hard on those upgrades for those games, just like PS4, PS5. Sony is doing.
Less than a month away.
I know, and my console hasn't been canceled yet. It still says it's coming.
There you go, buddy.
Sony's working on a lot of their PS4 games. I know that they're working to kind of clean up some of those PS4 games that they're bringing to that PS Now, those classics, the PS4 classics. I know they're doing a little bit of work and upresing and having those run at 60 and 120. So I'm interested to see how all that stuff looks. I bet God of War in 120 frames is going to look fucking ridiculous.
Jesus.
So that's it for that. Charlie, give us a Warzone update.
So everything that I was hoping for and predicting for last week for a game I don't really play, it came true. They're having a freaking zombie mode. Yeah, the Haunting of Verdansk started today. Um, so there's going to be zombies. Obviously, I'm interested to see how that works. Is it like BR with zombies or whatever, or if it's like horde mode? I imagine that it's probably the former rather than the latter. Cool things that I didn't realize that they were going to add to it. You got Leatherface, customizable, I guess, costumes that players can
That's
put
interesting.
on, as well as Jigsaw.
Oh, weird.
I would think Leatherface would be a little more scarier than, the Jigsaw character.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Um, I don't know. The way that the trailer explained, I don't know if they are actually having them run through the game as like an NPC to like basically one hit any of the active players in there. I really wish I had followed up with that prior to us starting this.
Right.
But I mean, that's what it looked like to me. And then the other thing that I was like, kind of like doing that manner in defense of those players is like that this is a really just a temporary mode. It's only running from October 20th to November 3rd. We will see maybe if, there's a lot of good reception from it. Maybe they'll extend that.
Well, and they've done limited time modes that they've kept around. Like Plunder was supposed to be just a limited time, but it's so popular that they kept it as a second mode in Warzone. So it's possible. I can't imagine. I was gonna say I can't imagine that it's gonna be zombies in the BR. One, because that doesn't sound like something they would do, and two, as someone who's played Fortnite where they've kind of done something like that, it sucks when you come across them in the middle of a BR because you're trying to win, and then all of a sudden, like they're doing it with the Avengers stuff, where enemy troops will land like near you, and you have to battle them while you're trying to survive in the battle royale, and I don't like it.
Yeah.
So I would hope that it's just a separate zombies mode, which would be cool. Like if it was, you know what I think would be neat if they use the map of Verdansk, but it's very kind of Left 4 Dead style, where you kind of have a set path, and you got to get from the military base to the stadium.
Okay.
And then you have a final big thing in the stadium, and then when you're done, while you're fighting him off, a helicopter comes in through the roof that's blown out, and you get on the helicopter. You know what? Let's just play Left 4 Dead instead. Why don't we just do that instead?
I tried to okay, so for people listening, we played a good amount of Left 4 Dead back in the day.
Yes.
But this was through the Xbox, and trying to reignite those same feels when you're playing Left 4 Dead 2 on the PC is a little different because one, you're learning all the new controls and such, and I've never gravitated toward the WASD type of navigating on the PC. I've even now, any game I play through my PC, I'm playing on controller. So maybe that's just one hurdle that I'm going to have to try to jump over in regards to making the leap to being full PC gamer.
Yeah.
But man, God, I really want to play that new map, and just it looks so cool, and a lot of people are having fun with it right now, and doing their streams on Twitch and stuff. But and going back to Warzone, I'm actually thinking because I got a couple of days off this week, I might actually just take a little dip into it. I'm not very skilled or high level when it regards to my character on Warzone anyway, so I'll probably check it out and come back with some type of review next week.
Yeah, I want to check that out too. Maybe I mean, obviously I have to work on Thursday and Friday, but maybe sometime this weekend if we can get
During the
into.
Cowboy game.
There you go. I like it. Okay, you know what? Okay, yeah, we're gonna do that. Co-stream.
Oh
Yeah, because
man,
I don't need that in my life right now. Anything else on Warzone?
that is it, man.
All right, let's get into the last bit of
Oh,
new.
there is
Oh,
one there. I guess there is one last bit of things of Warzone. If you go to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre website, and I think like you got jump through a couple of hoops there, and you can get some free Leatherface customizable wear through that as well.
oh,
So
okay. So you go through the
yeah,
website, it gives you a code, I'm sure, and then you put the
yeah,
code in. Okay, that's cool. That's neat. That's cool that they're doing that. I love that they're continuing to support Warzone, and they're going to continue to support Warzone even after Cold War comes out, because I think Warzone is their best separate mode from Call of Duty they've ever done, because anything they've done in the past hasn't been anywhere close to my cup of tea. But yeah, I think Warzone is pretty fantastic.
good.
Um, I can't wait to see what that looks like up-resed on the new consoles,
Oh
because
wow, yeah.
it'll be there. Our final news story of the week is the next generation versions of the Marvel's Avengers game have been delayed because the studio wants to improve the game. This goes back to what we've been talking about with that game. It's just very meh, and it's not been nobody's saying it's terrible, but there's not a lot of people that are just clamoring for more Avengers, and I'll be interested to see what the improvements are to that game. But man, that it's just another story in this kind of long line of what's going on with this game. What's going on with it?
Um, to quote Mike Singletary, I'm going to say this about that: the Avengers. So I follow obviously a lot of video game people,
Mm-hmm.
but I also have a nice little circle of comic book enthusiasts. And those that are playing the Avengers games are really, really enjoying themselves. It is um, definitely a great fan service to those who they've enjoyed their wares at the MCU. They're ready to jump onto something else new. This is definitely it. There are characters in that game that are not represented in the MCU universe quite yet, but they are in this game and they are having a lot of fun. They're having a blast. That being said, um, the the audience, the overall feel for this game is what you were saying. It's very like hit and miss depending on who you talk to. Um, I'm just trying to understand how they were able to release this game for the PS4 and the Xbox One. And then why could they not push it out for the PS5 and work on it in the background? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
I don't know.
Like
It could have used like 2 or 3 more months. It sounds like.
yeah, it makes it sound like the ports for those next gens have more than just a we're looking on making improvements to it. Like, are you adding levels to the game? Is there something that the new systems are doing in regards to the fighting mechanics that's making it kind of wonky or whatever? um I don't know, that it's weird. I've never heard them do that with a game like that existed in the current console, but then when the next console had come out, they're like, we're not going to release it quite yet. We're going to work on it some more. I'm like, does
Yeah.
that make sense? Especially when um, the existing IP is there, and you kind of developed it for a time when you knew that the next console was coming out a couple of months later anyway. Did you rush it to come out on the PS4 and the Xbox One? And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, we're going to work on the background for the PS5 and the Xbox Series S. I don't know. That's weird to me.
It's very weird. I that's I wonder if this game, in the end, it's just going to go down as one of the disappointments of the year, and it's just going to kind of float into the video game stratosphere, and that's kind of going to be it. I don't know. Like it's a weird development. It's a weird development for sure. I hope it gets better. In terms of the people that are disappointed finally get to that point to where they're not disappointed, kind of like the No Man's Sky story. But I don't know. Who knows? It's a weird thing. I've always felt from the beginning that thing was a little off, and
it is a bummer for those who do really enjoy the game and they were hoping for the up-res version and
sure,
on platforms that they've I'm sorry, not platforms, on consoles that they've already pre-ordered.
yeah.
And they were hoping to play that on the next big thing. But
right.
yeah.
And to go to something you just said in chat, doesn't this feel like here in 6 months they're going to put it on PS Now and Game Pass? Like that's what's going to happen to those.
Yeah.
They're gonna be like, we just need to get this game out here and hope people buy microtransactions and shit like that.
I would like to play that game.
Sure.
I just don't know if I'm willing to fork over money.
No.
That is not a Cyberpunk Miles Morales Spider-Man type of game to me.
Kind of not close either.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets better. New releases for this week. We've got Amnesia Rebirth came out today, PC, PS4. I guess that's scary game.
I watched a stream of this during my lunch today, and I hope it gets scarier.
Oh no, honest. Really?
The streamer was awesome. He had a ton of energy. I wish I could remember his name, but he was bananas. It was fun to watch him play, but at the same time, while watching him, I loved his content. I was also watching the game to kind of see what it would deliver, and maybe it's just the fact that it is really, really at the very beginning. I wasn't impressed.
Oh no!
So,
well,
I've heard reviews of this thing that this is the scariest thing though, like ever since. So maybe again he just hasn't crossed that threshold.
Is this a sequel or is this like a remake of the original Amnesia?
From what I understand, it's not a remake.
Okay.
It's
Rebirth makes it sound like it could have been. That's why I ask.
Yeah.
Well, keep an eye on it. I don't know where I'm going with that, but keep an eye on it. Yeah. You all right? Something above you you'd watch out for? Is your roof about to cave in?
I don't know. Yeah. We sometimes have friends come in our house, in our walls.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right, fair enough.
Still haven't patched up that hole yet.
We'll skip the next one. We'll save that for last because that's probably the biggest release of the week. Transformers Battlegrounds comes out on, I guess that would be Friday. PS4, Xbox, Switch, and Steam. I went and watched a trailer of this. Why is this on the list? Oh my God, why is this on the list? It looks horrible.
It's on the list because I have a weird thing about adding only two things and there should be a third thing.
Sure, which okay. All right. And I'll tell you what, the rest of the releases this week, you're right. It basically being like, hey, Transformers, that's a big name, but that game looks like shit. It looks so bad.
Did you ever play any of the Transformers games?
I did not, but I know
Cybertron.
I know those are supposed to be good games though. Yeah. Like I've heard those are really good. This does not look like that. But finally, probably the release of the week. I think this is the last week of kind of slow release week. So I think we're about to really get into the big stuff starting next week. But the big one this week is the first DLC for Doom Eternal, The Ancient Gods Part 1, comes out today. It is out now on PS4, Xbox, PC, and Stadia. It's still there. We're still talking about Stadia. But that's out. That's the first story DLC for Doom Eternal. Charlie, I would say you're super excited about that, but you still have yet to play Doom Eternal, right?
Man, I'm so scared that because I have plans that I would love to really, really dive back into Doom and stuff like that, but it seems like the content is starting to grow. It's not getting overwhelming yet. Like we'll see how this goes going into the future. Doom is not a long game per se.
Sure,
it's an intense game. Not not like RE2. Like
No.
RE2 is like blood pressure, boiling jump scare game.
Doom
This
is heart
is
pounding, getting your heart rate up to 150 because it's
yeah.
so fast and just crazy and out of control.
What was I going to say? RE2 is a Tool album.
Okay.
Doom is Through the Fire and Flames on repeat.
Okay. Okay. I can
Yeah.
I can uh I can jam with that. That's
Whereas RE2 has moments of okay, let's pause,
yeah.
let's retract,
Right.
let's take a moment.
Yeah.
Doom is not like that in any
Yeah.
way.
Yeah. Yeah. No. That's a good bringing it back to music reference there.
Yeah.
That's good. But so yeah,
Bringing it back to
so
music.
that's this week. That's today. So if you're into Doom Eternal, go get that. And that's the new releases, and that is the news. And let's go ahead and segue immediately into our topic of the show. The topic of the show is one of our, well, not one of, I would say this is probably our staple. We're going to remember some games. Charlie and I picked out 3 games each. Do you remember?
Remember Star Wars?
I remember. So we picked out 3 games, and you guys in the chat, if you have any games that you would like for us to talk about, start throwing them out in chat, and we will start getting into those if we've definitely played them and want to talk about them. So go ahead and get those ready. Charlie, I believe last time I started, so I'm going to let you go first. And
Okay.
while you do that, I'm going to. Oh, you got. Okay, let's not do that. Why am I opening that up? Dun 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 dun. Let's go ahead and get started with your first game. Lay it on me.
So my first game for tonight is Final Fantasy X for the PS2. This is actually the first, I want to say, RPG, true, turn-based RPG that I ever played. I never played any of the RPGs on the SNES. I heard of Final Fantasy VII, but I never really got into that stuff. Even when the PS2 came out, it was all about playing Madden and playing NHL 2000. And my roommate had at the time had mentioned that he played RPG games, and I remember back in like my undergrad, they were playing Final Fantasy 9. I would just watch the thing, while doing some extracurricular activities, and it looked fun. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. It's like it's like telling a story, and I would say it a whole lot different. I'm like, oh man, this is like telling a story. That thing has like a tail. What the fuck is going on right now?
Yeah.
What is this card game? I don't understand it.
Card game.
So
Blitzball, bro.
no.
Oh,
Again,
nine. I'm sorry.
this
I'm
is
sorry.
according to nine.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Still, yeah, no, yeah.
That card game's
We're
great, by the way.
back on the same page. So when I got the PS2, Final Fantasy X to come out, I'm like, okay, like let me try this thing. Let me check this thing out or whatever. It was really cool, and one, I liked it because this was the first time that you actually heard the voices of the characters that you were playing. Um, Obviously, the upres and graphics have blown me away. And the ability, I guess, I don't know, like learning that game is easy in regards to its combat system. I love the turn-based system where you can actually see the turnstile as to where your character is going to react
I love that.
in the battle formation ahead. I love the story of Final Fantasy X. There are definite moments in that game that are laugh out loud, especially the fake laughing of Tidus and Yuna. Oh, gosh, bless. Yeah. Blitzball. So from my understanding, and like,
Here we go.
correct me if I'm wrong, each Final Fantasy game has like a little mini game that
Correct.
is accompanied with it.
Correct.
And it's kind of like, hey, we're going to introduce you to this thing. You get to play it as an actual required objective of certain mission. But then later on, you could just kind of leave it and really, really never come back to it. In Final Fantasy X, there was Blitzball.
Mm-hmm.
And it was this... I'm trying to explain this. This handball slash speedball in water soccer
Mm-hmm.
that the stats are what predicated your actions.
Right.
So if your character was good at passing, he would have a passer ranking of say like 20, and he was passing clear across the court, which is again a huge orb of water.
Mm-hmm.
The ball would travel, and as the ball travels, your stat would decrease in the amount. And if for some reason the pass was longer than the amount of the stat,
it would fail.
The player who was quote unquote receiving the ball would drop the ball.
Yeah.
Drop the ball.
Yeah.
So weird.
Turn it over. Yeah.
And so it was so weird. In water, he would drop the ball. It would still go down, regardless. Yeah, there was a whole league set up where you could trade for other players that were played in the game that you played against, that you saw in the world of Final Fantasy. Anyway, I've gone way too long on Blitzball. But
Blitzball is the worst mini game in Final Fantasy history. It's fucking terrible. Awful.
I won the Blitzball Cup. Before
why
the arena.
Stop it!
No, you were required to, as
yeah. I mean, I won. Yeah, I won that. I did that. Yeah. But I'm talking.
I went through the season, and then anyway.
Oh God.
I had to defend my title.
Of course he did.
But no. So watching the old Final Fantasies, it was cool to see. What were those? What were they called for the other games?
The mini games.
No, I guess
the summons.
Yeah, the summons. What were they called?
So in 8 they were called Guardian Forces.
Okay.
In 9 I think they were just summons.
Yeah.
In 7 I think they were just called summons. Forget what are they called in 10? I forget what they're called again.
They're summons.
Summons, yeah.
You would summon some of these creatures, and the art of these creatures.
So good. So
and
colorful.
How they portrayed Shiva and Bahamut.
Yeah.
And
what's that big bird called? That's the first one you get. I forget the name.
See, that was the thing, is I renamed all these guys.
Oh, sure. Okay.
I was at the time the Cowboys were 5-11, so I had to pick my alternate team, and it happened to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Oh no! Did you call it Jeremy Shockey and all that shit?
I named him Allstott and Lynch.
Of course you did.
And I had KJ and
Brad Johnson,
McCardell. Yeah, I had the entire lot.
That's so terrible.
Well, it took me forever to remember the lead character's name was Titus, because I had renamed him at the very, very beginning also.
Oh, you're a full renamer. I don't ever do that.
Well, it was one of those things, at the time you're like, I guess I'll rename this guy. But the art in that game is so beautiful. The island hopping from different islands to different islands, the different color palettes for each area. It's really, really gorgeous. Each temple you went in had a character of its own.
Yeah.
That was really, really unique. The puzzles, the leveling in that game. I really, really like the sphere leveling.
See, I like the sphere grid too. I think it's really good.
That was really, really cool. And then once you broke past that point where you're like, okay, I've maxed out. Now how can I really, really customize my character? That was really, really cool to do. The boss fights, Seymour.
Oh yeah, Seymour.
What a
weird dude, man.
And of course, he's like one of those ones that I killed you, and then 3-4 hours later, oh, you're back again.
Yeah. Yep, he's
And
one of
then
those bosses. Yeah.
10-20 hours later, oh my God, you're back again.
Tag team back again.
It's called a chocobo, says Wartown.
He's
No, not that word.
no,
I can't
not
remember its name.
no.
Albatos. Um, but no,
Yeah.
like that world, like it was so funny because then I was like, okay, that was kind of like the gateway drug. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try other Final Fantasies as well. And unfortunately, I did not leech on to like 7. I know you and Chris profess that 8 is probably one of the greatest Final Fantasies.
It's the
I
best one.
never
It's the best one.
could get into that. There was this weird thing where at that time I needed my graphics to be completely up to date.
Sure.
And I'm just,
I can understand that.
and it got to the point where like, there was that the creature arena where you would start capturing creatures and you would create these ultimates that you would like get these awesome legendary items and baubles that would make your characters even better. Oh my gosh, like I poured, I swear there was one save file that had at least 80 hours in it.
Oh sure.
At least 80
oh yeah,
hours.
I had one too. Okay, so I got a couple questions for you.
Please segue to a question.
Yeah, because look, we can turn this into a Final Fantasy podcast if you want to.
Yeah.
So you attempted 12, did not like it, correct?
No, I did like it.
Okay.
But I think by the time 12 had come out was the very, very end of the PS2 the life.
Yes, the very end.
life.
Yes.
And I had gotten so back into God of War 2 that I, poured my heart into that. And I really wasn't ready for the scale of what 12 presented.
Sure.
And there was also the other thing where I was not keen to the active battle system that 12 presented.
Sure.
I thought it was really cool and really unique, but it wasn't for me because I was at the time, like my idea of Final Fantasy is thinking, strategy. Yeah. How do I want to jump into this?
So you'll never play a Final Fantasy ever again.
They're bouncing on top of me and killing me. Yeah. So.
I will say this: the remaster of Final Fantasy 12 is fantastic. They added some quality of life stuff like 2 times speed and things like that, so it allows you to go through it faster. If you ever find it in your heart, in your cold, dark heart, to get back into trying that again, that's
my much available time.
Right. That's a fantastic version of that game. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and preface this now. We're about to do spoilers for Final Fantasy X. So if you don't want to be spoiled by Final Fantasy X, you have 5 seconds to shift forward or turn the stream off. In 5, 4, 3,
turn the stream
2,
off. Just mute us.
1, and you're done. Okay. I too like the story in that game. The reveal that Sin is your dad, like 3 minutes into the game, and the way that it's presented to you was fucking shitty. Do you remember that? Do you remember what happened? It was right after the Blitzball thing, and you're with the old guy. Fuck, what's his name? Aaron. And you guys are about to walk away from that town, and he goes, "Wait a second, I gotta tell you something, Titus. Sin is Jecht. Jecht is Sin." And he just, and then he's like, "Well, let's go." I thought that was so terrible.
Yeah,
I think it's a cool twist. I think it's. Don't get me wrong. I think that's a neat twist, in the way that they presented it. The rest of the game was good. I would have thought that reveal would have been better later, and where he starts to figure it out on his own instead of Aaron just being like, "Hey, motherfucker, your dad is this big fucking whale thing that kills everybody." Like, I thought that was weird.
I agree with you. Like,
20 years later, that still pisses me off.
At the time, I felt just like you did. It's one of those things that when you went on the journey after that fact and you're like, okay, I literally have to hide this from the entire group. don't get me wrong, I still felt like that was mishandled very badly, and
Right.
the way that you're suggesting they go about it would have been a lot better.
Yeah, because I don't have a problem with the way that where he had to hide it from them and he had to come to grips with it himself.
Yeah,
And in the scene where he finally does come to grips of that, which is on that beach,
yeah,
when he has to fight him and then he tries to chase him out into the ocean,
yeah,
I thought that was really well done. I just feel
yeah.
like that him just
It could have
being
been done there,
I
to be
yeah, like
honest.
right. He could have defeated him and he could have been like yelling at him or just like he feels his presence.
Yeah.
Obviously, he feels his presence and then
Oren's like, you can't
Oren's
kill
like
him.
you
He's
can't
your father.
right, exactly. You could have done it you could have done it there and I think it would have played better. That's always bothered me even to this day. Final Fantasy X is a fantastic game. It's probably my third favorite Final Fantasy. It's so good, and I wish I would have given the remaster more of a chance. But I feel like back when I tried it, I kind of wasn't in that RPG headspace,
Yeah.
and I certainly am really not in that right now either. I'm not really in that place because it's not Rocket League. But that's cool. Final Fantasy X, fantastic game. Blitzball sucks. It could go burn in hell. Do you got anything else on Final Fantasy X?
No, man. I've said my piece.
All
Let's
right.
move on to Rocket League One.
Okay, all right. And for the first game we're going to talk about is Rocket League. No, we're actually going to stay with the RPG angle here, and we're going to talk about a game that's a little bit further back. We're going to go back to the Super Nintendo Entertainment System and a little game called Super Mario RPG. So, back in my day, Square and Nintendo had a glorious relationship. All the Final Fantasies and every Square game that ever came out only on Nintendo consoles. They had a fantastic relationship. So late in the Super Nintendo cycle, Square had put out Final Fantasy VI/3 and Chrono Trigger, and Nintendo went to Square and said, "Hey, you should make us an RPG and you can use Mario." And so they did, and they created Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars. And so what Square did is they created an RPG based around Super Mario and the Mushroom Kingdom and expanded the Mushroom Kingdom and kind of expanded the characters of I mean they're not in the lore of Mario at this time, but they added new characters, new leads. There's a kind of puffy cloud guy named Mallow, and there's Gino, the thing sent from the heavens, I guess what you could call it.
Pinocchio.
Yeah, the Pinocchio of Super Mario. And so, what happens is what usually happens in every Mario game. The princess is kidnapped by Bowser, and you go and fight Bowser. And as you're beating Bowser, all of a sudden a giant sword comes out from the sky and lands on Bowser's castle and sends everybody flying across the world. And so from there, you have to go figure out one, you got to go find the princess, of course. And you have to figure out what this sword is and who the Smithy gang is. Smithy, not Smithy, Smithy. Um, and then it is a turn-based RPG. And the way that it uses the Mario universe is incredibly smart. Some of your weapons are such things as turtle shells and big mallets like from Donkey Kong, and it's kind of a rhythmic button press. You can get extra damage by hitting the B button as you're hitting, or you can defend yourself with that. You have magic spells, fireballs, jump powers, and then of course all of your people that you pick up along the way to help you in your journey also get their own types of powers. So it does become a strategy of, okay, who's going to be in your party? Okay, I want to have someone that can heal. I want someone that has a lot of magical damage, and I want someone that has a lot of physical damage. So you have to balance that. The story is your typical Mario, lighthearted, goofy, funny. It does have a couple moments of, kind of heavy stuff, like when you go to the star world and you can read all of the different stars, and basically the stars are like wishes, and you can go read them, and some of them are generic, like I wish my dad was still here, and like there's one where you go up to it and it's Luigi, and it reads basically, I wish I could live up to my brother's standards, and it's like, oh my god, this is fucking heavy. And they do a lot of really neat things with parody. Charlie, obviously, the Axum Rangers, a direct parody of the Power Rangers. It's got unbelievable music. I think it's a tragedy that this game is not on the Super Nintendo Switch network. I can't figure out why that's the case, but
That's
it is.
crazy because it's
It's
on
a
the Wii U.
I know it's a tragedy it's not there. It is absolutely one of my favorite games of all time. It is absolutely one of the best Super Nintendo games ever. Um, if you have not played this game and have not played it all the way through, you are doing yourself a disservice because it's pretty light on the RPG side of it. And it's you have your stats and you level up, but when you level up, you basically pick, do I want extra hit points? Do I want extra defense? Or do I want extra physical power?
It's
And
very straightforward.
it's
Yeah.
very straightforward, but it's also not just lackadaisical in its difficulty. Like it's not just, oh, you can burn through this game. I mean, the boss battles are very difficult. There are different types of mechanics that you have to use in those boss battles, to be able to defeat some of these bosses. And I love it so much. The day that they put it on that Switch network, I will stop being a Rocket League streamer and I will become a Super Mario RPG streamer, because that game, it's not my favorite game of all time, but it's definitely way up there in terms of games that have a really deep presence in my video game heart that I just adore so much. And it's such a fantastic game. Play it if you have not played it. You absolutely should. Go ahead.
Do you remember what was your favorite formation?
My favorite formation was it was actually Mario, Mallow, and Bowser in the end,
Okay.
because I loved
Nice.
I loved Bowser's physical attacks. His
Yeah.
physical attacks were unbelievable, especially if you hit the extra boost. Um, and then the Mallow for his status and healing, and then Mario. I mean, you have to have Mario in your party, but Mario was like in anything, he's the perfect all around middle ground character. So
Yeah.
I also thought, like, another thing is that when you're playing RPGs, and this I feel like this was kind of the case a little bit with a lot of the Final Fantasies, there are characters in those games where you just never use them. Either because they're boring as hell or they just don't do anything for you. I feel like every character can
Which one
in
for
10.
you?
For,
Well, no, which one for you in this one?
I don't have that in this one.
Oh, okay.
This one is one where I can make a party out of any of those characters, any of that combination, and it's great. Because Gino is the ultimate magic user. He's fantastic at using magic. Princess is another good all around. She has really good physical, I guess attack magic and healing magic.
Yeah.
So, like, I don't think there's a down character in those in any in that game, as opposed to some other games where you don't use half of the characters because you're like, oh, this is my party, and this is what I'm going to use the rest of the time. Yeah, it's
I think
go ahead.
I think one of the coolest moments in that game is the realization that you're going to get to play with Bowser.
100%,
Yeah,
100%,
because you
because
fought him all this time, and all of a sudden, you vanquish him very early on in this game, and then all of a sudden you come across him again, and you're like, wait a minute, he's joining your party.
and when you come up to him, it's so funny because he's trying to get into that big tall building with the guy that had
Yeah.
kidnapped the princess, and he's so
Oh, what was his
angry.
name?
Oh god, man, that part is incredible.
Yeah,
Oh, that character is so good. Um, yeah, man, the but when you come up upon Bowser, it's it's such a cool moment because you come up to him and he's like angry, he's crying, he doesn't know what to do, and then he does that thing. It's like, you know what? You can join me instead of you joining him. Like it's really it's really hilarious, just the dumb things they do in that game.
like he's got
Uh,
thought bubbles where he looks up to Mario, but he doesn't want to really show
oh,
it.
100%. And yeah, it's a fantastic game. You should absolutely play that game. And
Hopefully, he'll come out on the Switch
oh,
or
man, I hope it does because it's such a fantastic game. Let's keep it moving, Charlie. Go ahead and give us your next one.
okay. Before I give you the next one,
Okay.
got to promise each other if that sucker shows up on the Super Nintendo library
Mm-hmm.
on the Switch, we immediately text the other person and say, "Hey, start playing this."
Well, of course. I mean, yeah, we're each of us are our Switch leaders. So yeah, absolutely.
So my next game for tonight is the SNES classic Mortal Kombat 2. This is the sequel to Mortal Kombat, the game that stirred up a whole bunch of controversy in the 90s because, oh my God, they had blood in the game. Um, while Mortal Kombat was a very good fighting game,
Mm-hmm.
it did the it did the thing like Pit Fighter, where it was motion capture. And the second game did that to an extent as well, but it did it in a lot better um, execution. That withstanding, I think Mortal Kombat 2 may be the fighting game that we have, that me, my brother, and I uh, played the most growing up. We played lots of Street Fighter 2, lots of Super Street Fighter 2, lots of Super or Street Fighter 2 Hyper Fighting, all the Street Fighter games. We played Clay Fighter. I think we played a little Primal Rage. I can't really quite remember, but this is the game that we went to town on. We had this game. We had Mortal Kombat 3, but this is the one that I'm not kidding you. Um, I would get in trouble a lot because I did not do my homework in middle school because I played the sucker out of this game. My buddy and I, we would have binders. This is how nerdy we got. We would have binders and we would include in them the entire roster of finishing moves,
Right.
babalities,
Yep.
friendships.
Friendship.
Oh my gosh, yeah, the introduction of the friendship in there. And I think this was the first game in the Mortal Kombat library that introduced environmental fatalities.
Yes.
That you can knock the guys back into the acid pool. Well, actually, let me retract that because I believe in the first one, if you did it right, if you uppercutted someone correctly, you would knock them into the pit.
Yeah, on the pit, you would knock him off the bridge
That
onto the
was
spikes.
more or less like, okay, you just uppercut them and knock them in.
Right.
This one, you actually had to perform the fatality.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it was such a great game. I mean, it is a great game. What am I talking about? I remember seeing this in the arcade and like just getting like all enthused about it. And then when they had ported it over into the SNES, when I heard that they were bringing blood on the SNES side, because if you remember correctly, the Mortal Kombat 1 on the SNES, it had sweat.
Sweat.
It did not have
Sweat,
the
baby,
blood
sweat.
that the Genesis. Yeah,
Hmm.
it did not have the blood that the Genesis had.
Right.
And so when it came out in the SNES, and you're like, you have blood on there. Oh, okay, we've got everything now. And so just the ascension to the top, and gosh, I remember like Shao Kahn was, you know, he every final boss in these fighting games is a, I don't want to say a big cheat, but
Yeah.
it seems like at the time when you're playing them at such a level, they're just like, oh yeah, we're just gonna just bludgeon you over and over and over again, hit you with these ridiculous things that cause you to stun, and then we're just gonna just completely obliterate you. Shao Kahn kind of had that motion, but there was no like Goro was hard in one,
Yeah.
but there was a pattern to him that you kind of understood and withheld, and you're like, okay, Kintaro in two was a motherfucker
Hmm.
because he was stronger than Goro, he was faster than Goro, he had this ridiculous teleport that just like he would spam it. It seemed like over and over and over again, to the point where you would damn near rage quit every time you lost to this guy.
Right.
And it's one of those things again, like the cool story behind, Mortal Kombat. All these combatants come in and they're there to save the souls of the earth from being consumed by Shao Kahn and the I want to say the Shadow is the sect, obviously led by Shang Tsung, and even Shang Tsung. There's a story behind him. I love the little stories that are fitted with each character.
Hmm.
And then obviously when you beat the game, you get to like hear how, oh, like, okay, Sonya came in with her task force and she beat Shao Kahn, and there's a special ending to these games that you're like, okay, I like the fact that each character had their own specific ending. So you're like, oh, I want to beat the game with this character now just to see what his ending is. Kind of like what Twisted Metal 2 did.
Yeah.
Um, the lore with Mortal Kombat, I really, really think came into form with this game.
Yeah. Yeah. I was gonna say the one thing that they've
He
done.
was GK Slay.
One thing that they've done really well with the Mortal Kombat series is given people a reason to care about that lore.
Yeah,
Really more than any fighting game ever made. Like it's kind of incredible how people talk about the story and the lore of Mortal Kombat in a
yeah,
way where there are cases where some of these, especially these later Mortal Kombats, are up for best story of the year. It's kind of incredible.
yeah,
So yeah, I think Mortal Kombat 2 was the first one where they really kind of
yeah.
dug into the lore.
And I think it's the first game where you would enter codes like during the matchup screen, and you could do certain things
Yeah, I can't remember.
um, to basically change out, make it faster, make the jumps higher. Have Big Head was the big thing at the time, kind of like an NBA Jam.
Hmm.
Again, this is a Midway game,
Hmm.
so of course, why not? Um, yeah, Mortal Kombat 2, where Mortal Kombat has come in the long years since um, Mortal Kombat 1 and Mortal Kombat 2 is amazing and outstanding.
Yeah,
But when I think of Mortal Kombat, that is literally the first one I really, really think of.
sure.
Climbing that mountain and ascending to the top of all the champions, beating Kintaro's ass, and then, destroying the cheap Shao Kahn.
Yeah. Yeah, I've said this before. I was a Street Fighter guy back in the day, but like Mortal Kombat 2, like I liked Mortal Kombat the original, but the way that they expanded Mortal Kombat
Yeah.
2 over the first one really really pushed it to where it put it kind of on that same level for as Street Fighter for me. Um and then I kind of fell off fighting games. Like I don't play fighting games anymore. Like
Yeah.
it's the high level fighting game community is so ridiculous. It's awesome to watch.
Oh gosh. Yeah,
But
it's
you watch it and you're like, it's kind of like I know I keep bringing it up, but it's like when you watch high level league play for Rocket League, it's a different game you're watching. And it's the same thing with
Yeah.
fighting games and, Mortal Kombat, your Tekkens, your Street Fighters, the Dragon Ball Z game.
Yeah.
The high level, it looks like a different game they're playing. And but yeah, Mortal Kombat 2 is a fantastic game. It's a fantastic fighting game. It's a fantastic game. You got anything else on? Oh, so
I
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
reminisce so much about it. Like this will be my last piece on it because again, like Final Fantasy,
Sure.
10, I could talk forever on Mortal Kombat 2.
Sure.
Local multiplayer was what we were all about back in the 90s.
Yeah.
And when it came to fighting games, boy, you wanted to hold on to that controller as long as possible.
Oh, for sure.
Because that meant you were winning.
Yeah.
And especially in Mortal Kombat, where like things would come down to like a last second block or a fan flying in your face. And then obviously the entire room like going ballistic when the fatality happens. Yes, Mortal Kombat 2 is definitely up there. And like this was prior to when button sequential combos had come into play, because that was 3.
Mm-hmm.
This was the one where like you still had to kind of, learn, you come in with a low kick, but then if you hit him just at the right time, you can punch them as soon as afterward and then throw a fan in their face. And that would be a, devastating combo that would take out like half their life.
Yeah.
You wouldn't get any bonuses for that. That again, that was something that came out in later games. You would get first hit bonuses, or you would get a combo bonus or a block bonus and stuff like that. Stuff like Killer Instinct really, really came into vogue when it came to that stuff.
Right.
But yeah, Mortal Kombat 2.
Well,
that's definitely in my Hall of Fame.
You talk about the group play and people going crazy when these big matches end in something ridiculous. Like, I feel like that, and then the game I'm about to talk about, like, it was those, and then there was this long gap where that didn't happen again until probably like the Super Smash Brothers era of gaming, where you had the big groups of people and just these ending moves. It's we'll just segue into mine. We're going to stick with Midway. I'm going to talk about NFL Blitz. And it's that same thing of you play, like the single player mode of NFL Blitz is fine. You play all the teams. You pick whatever team that you want to pick at the time, and you play, and it's fine. But it was it was that multiplayer playing against other people, and that moment at the end of a game where you're driving and it gets picked off, or vice versa. You have to stop them, and you go and you rush the quarterback real quick and you hit him and he fumbles it and you pick it up, and then you're running for the touchdown as they're catching up. Like those moments, I broke Nintendo 64 controllers playing this game. I got banned from playing NFL Blitz at a friend's house because I was so into that game and yelling. I'm just going to say this. NFL Blitz is the best football game ever made. It's better than Tecmo Bowl. It's better than any Madden. It's better than any NCAA. There's not a football game aside from maybe Tecmo Super Bowl that I've put more time into than NFL Blitz. The sheer fun factor, and this is also including the arcade as well. Playing in the arcade, that money sucker where they make you pay every quarter to keep playing, and go ahead.
The crowds in the arcade, people would be playing Blitz.
The pile of quarters on the cabinet waiting for their turn.
Yeah,
just it's the and then all the cheat codes. Big head mode. You talked about that with Mortal Kombat. Big head mode, just all the different little cheat codes, and the after the play pile ups and knocking people around, and the don't look at my screen while I'm picking my play. Just like all of that dumb shit that because because the N64 was definitely a multiplayer console with your Super Smash Brothers, NFL Blitz,
Oh
your
yeah,
GoldenEye,
it already had
and
the
that was
four-player
yeah,
built in.
in Mario Kart, and that was the era of don't look at my screen, don't look at what I'm doing. GoldenEye, don't look at my screen. That shit, and the the but the sheer fun factor of NFL Blitz. And what's interesting about that, I think this doesn't happen very often in gaming with series that have a pretty long history. I think the first NFL Blitz is the best one. Like, the next year was fine, the tournament edition or whatever they called it was the same game basically. But like those later ones that were on PS2 were not as good. When they brought back NFL Blitz with the they when they couldn't have the license was not that good. EA did a version not that long ago, but they took away because of, where the NFL is at these days. They took away all the post, you know, gang up stuff and all of that. But
Hmm.
but that original I think is still the most fun. And I will tell you this, still holds up today. 100% holds up today. Just like Tecmo Super Bowl holds up today. But NFL Blitz 100% holds up today. It's such a good game. Yeah, I broke controllers playing that game.
Were you the Cowboys?
Of course. Of course.
God, I remember everyone wanted to be the Vikings. Everyone
Everybody,
wanted to be
well,
the Falcons.
everybody wanted to be the Vikings because of
49ers.
Dante Culpepper and Randy Moss. And the 49ers back then because they still had Steve
Steve
Young
Young and
and
T.O.
T.O. Oh, yeah, absolutely. The Cowboys
Jerry
were,
Rice was, I think, still on that
I think
team.
Jerry, that would have been Jerry's last year. So I think he was still on that team. The Cowboys,
And Troy still.
would Troy have been on there in 98?
Troy and Urban. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You think so? I can't
Yeah.
remember. I guess they would have had Smith too, because Smith was there the
Yep.
longest. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Man, such a good game. All right, Charlie, I want you to give me your last game, but before you do, I want to go ahead and Casely, since you're here. If you have any games from gaming history that you want us to talk about, throw them in the chat, and if we have played them or either one or both of us have anything to say on it, we'll get to it. Otherwise, we'll move on, of course. But Charlie, go ahead and give me the last one, and then we'll see if there's any people in the chat that have something.
So this game I have remembrances about had come out about 3 to 4 years ago. It's a really, really small game by small developers. It came out on Steam. It's called Devil Daggers. Community, if you know me, I love games like Doom. Doom is a very, very metal game. This game makes Doom look like, at least from an artistic aesthetic, makes Doom look very, very kindergarten. It is so metal and it is so hard. So basically, it's a very straightforward arena timer game. You start off in first person and you just have your hand, and all of a sudden things just appear out of the dark. You are on like this little, like, gauntlet-esque platform that has no borders, no sides. You can fall off, and these totems, these pillars of doom that are just, they look like daggers, and they look like they've been basically been incarnated from hell, come out, and they start throwing these floating skulls at you. They're human skulls, and some of them look like devil skulls. And literally, they are just floating at you, and their purpose is to kill you. And the only weapon you really, really have is your hand, which throws out daggers. This game is very, very much like Geometry Wars, where the very, very beginning is very, very difficult. I mean, don't get me wrong, this game is just difficult overall. The world record for this game, I think, is still only like 15 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I bet a speed run of that looks so ridiculous.
I've watched several speed runs of this thing, and it gets like as hellish as I make the beginning of this game sound, it gets exponentially demonic as time goes on. So obviously, like, there is a difficulty um, formula built into the game that if you do not start leveling up your weaponry, you're going to die immediately, because the enemies are going to populate the map just so quickly that your little pea shooter, your two fingers, literally, this is what it looks like when you start. You're just like literally like just pointing two fingers straight out at the screen, and you're shooting daggers from them.
Mm-hmm.
There's no real jump button. The only way you can really jump is, so there's two methods of shooting. There's rapid fire shooting, and then there's like a shotgun blast. The shotgun blast, if you point it down straight at the floor, will allow you to quote unquote jump. I don't know how good you can utilize that, because if you're looking at the ground, you're not looking at all the enemies around you. That being said, so these totems are constantly generating new enemies, like constantly. And then, but they have little gems on them. You collect so many gems, and you get to level up. You get to shoot, more daggers, more devil daggers out of your hands. But then as you level up, the enemies get a lot more ferocious. They seem to get faster. They get a lot more in quantity. And there are these huge skulls that appear like out of the darkness that have these ginormous skeletal tentacles. And the really, really innovative thing about this game is that it placates on sound. Like, you need to be wearing a headset on this thing, because one, when you're playing in first person, you're literally looking straight at the screen. But the way to navigate your way through this game, and the way to continue to survive, is to listen around you in that really, really cool surround sound, to know if there's a skull that's about to ambush you from behind, or if there's like some demon rushing for you from the left, so you can act and react. I've played a couple times, and literally I've gotten as far to lasting 40 seconds.
Jeez.
Yeah, it is. If you want to, and it's one of those games though too, that when you play it, you're like, okay, let me play it one more time. I think I can go a little further. You play another 40 seconds. You're like, okay, I think I have it this time. It's very, very quick twitch. It's very, very reliant on the, like, knowing exactly how many hits a totem or an enemy can take before you can quickly focus your fire on another piece and then move on. It's a very, very difficult game. It's a very, very fun game. It's a very, very addicting game if you get into something like that. It's Devil Daggers. It's only $5 on Steam.
Yeah, it's I've never played it. I've seen it played. It looks insane. It seems like a pretty cool game. Very good selections, Charlie. Appreciate all of those. I like the different genres. I like what you did there this week. Shout out to Sean. Thank you for the sub. I appreciate you, pal. Thank you for being here and watching. It's great to be back. We got a request from K-Slay to talk about Killer Instinct.
Oh,
so let's talk about Killer Instinct. Are
we talking arcade? Or are we talking?
I think I think just let's talk about Killer Instinct.
So
Killer
you
Instinct.
Go first.
Well, Killer Instinct is so Killer Instinct back on the SNES. Because this is where I played it. I played it on the SNES. Back on the SNES, the two big fighting games were Mortal Kombat, as you talked about, and Street Fighter. Those were the two big ones. Yeah, you had your Clay Fighters and Primal Rage and blah blah blah. Some people like those games, some don't. But Killer Instinct was that third game that, I don't know about you, Charlie, but I discovered it like you discover most games because of Blockbuster. And it was on the new release rack, and the dang it, Nick. Yeah, it's
Don't start them, Nick. We were are nearly to the end. We don't want
Char-
to start this over.
Charlie's getting sick of me talking about Rocket League.
Uh,
But yeah, it was one of those things
I
where
love Rocket League.
when you went on
Come on.
the when you went to the new releases section, it was this game, and you looked at the back of it, and you're like, oh shit, this looks awesome. And then you got it, and it was awesome. You know, it's funny because we talk about games that stay in our head forever for whatever reason, and of course for us, it's the announcer, you know, yelling
Oh
out
yeah.
super combo and all that shit, you know, and
Combo breaker.
combo. Yeah, exactly. Like it's and you know, I'm obviously bringing up the announcer, but the fighting mechanics in it were very good. It's a good fighting game, and it was one of those where it came out and then it kind of lay dormant forever, and then Microsoft brought it back, and you know they did like 4 seasons of it, and people really liked that Killer Instinct that came out a few years ago. Charlie, I know you played more Killer Instinct than I did. I mean, I played some, but what
Man,
are
when
your memories?
I never owned that game, but my best friend in middle school owned it, and I found every way I could to possibly hang out at his house
Oh yeah,
and play that game. Oh, we would spend like hours and like have sleepovers playing that game and just combo
sleepovers.
breaking the fuck out of each other and
Not
just
much sleep.
no, it was all ultra combos and oh my gosh, like the so this was the advent. I swear this game was what introduced like can my combo eclipse your combo basically. And the ability to like, hit that right moment where you can break that combo and then just jump in and start doing your thing. And then those moments where you're honestly just like in utter defeat because your friend is literally just constantly clicking his controller and you're just screwed because he's about to go in this ridiculous ultra combo. I think I landed. So there was a combo with Cinder on for the first game that if you did it right, you can do a brutal combo. But if you caught him, because at the very end of it, it would launch him up in the air, so you could allow for a juggle. But then if you caught him right as he was landing and just go right back into that original combo, I hit him for like a 202 hit combo once. I remember that number like the back of my head because he was just like 200 and fucking two. And yeah, yeah, yeah. And I'll say this, like, as so I loved playing Killer Instinct a lot. The one drawback I had with that game is that I got too connected to like a few characters. I played with Cinder, I played with Glacial, and obviously every horny teenage boy played with Orchid
Mm-hmm.
because there was that special finisher where she took off her top. Um,
Yes.
I would love to have played with more characters in that game. I think in the second game I started playing a little bit with obviously with Glacier and stuff like that. But there was the that Amazonian princess that she was in there, and I played a lot with Spindle because he was really good, like that skeleton
Mm.
warrior. Um, as boisterous and as grandeur as it was, like playing in the house with like a whole bunch of buddies or whatever. I do remember like begging my parents when we were going on we're shopping at the arcades like, hey, can I go over here like while you're doing this and just pick me up later or whatever, and them having to drag me away because literally everyone is just crowded like games like Blitz, games like Street Fighter, games like Mortal Kombat totally lended themselves to big crowds hanging around
100%.
And watching. Killer Instinct did this for me at Town East Mall,
Oh,
where
yes.
everyone gathered because it was one of those things where it was right at the front, so they knew that kids were pretty much like spill back into the walkway. And man, like when someone was just doing like a complete ultra combo, it's just like faces were melting and just like you would see the guy. There's always be this one guy. There'd always be the one guy that you could tell like just how he carried himself. He's like, I will own this entire crowd.
Oh, yeah. You could
Watch
put your
this.
quarters up there, but I ain't moving.
Yeah, and he
Yeah.
literally like, stood there and played game after game after game and was just like I actually do remember one point, I don't remember who this person was, but like it got to a point where he was like, pick my character and I'll beat you.
Yeah.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
And he would completely go to town, like just seeing like his hands work and just like hit those buttons and just like constantly tapping, and you're just like, that's masterful. That's a freaking skill.
Well, this is what it always was when you walked up to a group playing one of those type of games. You could always tell the good person by if they're standing completely upright and playing.
Oh yeah.
And they basically they have that look on their face of like it's a blank face, and then the one that's getting their ass kicked is always hunched over, just like, and you could always tell. And when those people were there, you might as well have just been like, you know what, I'm a spectator today because I am not gonna waste my quarters on a guy like that.
My quarter is going to the X-Men machine, and I'm just going to watch this.
I'm gonna go play Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and move on. Yeah, Killer Instinct's awesome. And K Slay says that there's a good documentary on YouTube, so we'll have to check that out. If anybody's interested in Killer Instinct, you should check that out. Thank you, K Slay. We appreciate that. That's cool to talk about that game. All right, and earlier apparently my microphone was off and I spoke for about 10 or 15 seconds, so earlier apologies in the VOD and the podcast for that, because I am a smart person. All right, Charlie, let's what do you say we move on? Thank you guys for the recommendations. Turtles in Time. Okay, K-Slag, keep that for the next time we do this, because I will talk some goddamn Turtles in Time. But we're going to keep it moving. We're approaching 2 hours. Next up is, I don't know. I think this is our favorite segment. It's the mailbag. And if you have any questions for us, you can hit us in a number of places. You can hit us up both on Twitter, Charzar81 on Twitter, and Team Llama Games.
Oh, that picture.
Team Llama Games on Twitter, or you can hit us up on the Discord, on the MC Squad Discord, or I don't know, text us if you have our phone number. Charlie, I'm gonna go ahead and give out my phone number right now. No, I'm not gonna do that.
8675309.
That's right. 8675. Okay. So first, we got an email or a message from our good friend Sheamus. Sheamus on Twitch. Check him out. He's awesome. He's one of our friends from across the pond. He's got a very good question. Which superhero deserves a decent video game adaptation? I've already got my answer. Tell me, Charlie, what's your answer?
Just because of the height of his popularity right now, and because I've played his game, his Break the Fourth Wall game, and it wasn't really that great of a game, I would love to see a really, really good adaptation of Deadpool.
Yes! That's what I was going to say too! 100%.
Because I played the Deadpool... God, it's so hard to say game. And while it does everything that Deadpool does well, the fighting is not very conducive to good video game playing.
Right.
And it can get really, really, like, it's one of those games where you're like, I want this game to be really good. I will continue to persevere and push through and just continue to fight through it. That would be good. the chat, we got Aquaman. I'm sorry, I don't want to step on what you were gonna say. Like, so you said you were gonna say Deadpool as well.
Oh yeah, it's Deadpool,
Yeah.
because because every other, pretty much every other superhero or superhero group has had multiple games made of them to mediocre, bad, somewhat good results. Um, but I think, especially for me, in my type of humor, in my type of thing, when it comes to superheroes, because my favorite Avengers movie is Thor Ragnarok. It's the funniest one. Guardians as well. It's funny. It's like, it can be lighthearted. Like those. That's the kind of stuff I like with my superhero stuff. So that's what I would absolutely want, is a good Deadpool game. 100% mature. Don't give me no T Deadpool. I want fucking Ryan Reynolds cussing and talking about his dick, and just let's fucking go. I want it. That's 100%. The second I saw this question, I was like, oh, it's Deadpool. 100%. It's Deadpool.
Yeah.
Aquaman be interesting, because Aquaman's another one that they've done it in some of the DC kind of group games. But yeah, that would be. I still need to see that Aquaman movie. People say it's good.
My contention with Aquaman is that doing water can be challenging when it comes to video games, especially when it is conducive to a game that you're like, okay, I want to be a superhero, traverse. The idea of controlling or summoning sharks at a whim, or leviathans or squids, can be very, very intriguing.
That'd be neat.
In my brain.
Okay. Hear me out.
Okay.
What if they did DLC for Final Fantasy X and put him in Blitzball?
Oh, he would destroy in Blitzball.
I'm just saying.
Play that.
I might play Blitzball.
I'd play another season of it.
Yeah, right? That's an excellent question. That's a good question. Thank you, Seamus. Appreciate you. There's
Flash.
Yeah, the Flash would be a good one too.
Ooh.
Case Laser, right? I think that would be really good one too. Okay, this one doesn't have a name. Charlie, is this a Charlie special question here?
Yeah, this came out of the ether.
Okay, so what is the most underrated and overrated Halloween candy? You want me to go first?
Yeah.
All right.
Came out of the ether.
Underrated is Whoppers. I think Whoppers are fantastic. I think they're absolutely fantastic. And overrated, it's overrated, and it's also the worst candy of all time, candy corn.
I don't know if that's overrated. Is it overrated if it's like consensusly
if one person in the world likes candy corn, that's too many. It's awful.
Candy corn sucks.
It's awful. It does. It's the fucking worst. It sucks so bad. I hate it. Okay, so real answer, overrated. I think Tootsie Rolls are overrated. I don't know. They're a little too chewy for chocolate. Yeah. But that's what I would say. What about you, Charlie?
God, I think underrated would have to be like Junior Mints.
Ooh.
Like the ones in the boxes and stuff like that. I love anything minty.
Damn it, Warto! Sorry.
Of course he does. Candy corn.
Junior Mints. Back on subject. Junior Mints are outstanding.
Like even the small little peppermint patties.
Like the Yorks. Yeah, the little Yorks.
I always look through them, and I swear. So, in my most overrated, and I do not get why people like Milky Ways. I don't know. It's like
it's boring.
It's like yeah, exactly. It's like someone left like the peanuts out, so it's not a Snicker.
Yeah.
There's no nougat. So is there nougat in Milky? I'm trying to even remember, to be honest.
Milky Way just like
it's
come boring.
Off as, like you said, boring.
It's the redheaded stepchild of Snickers.
Like add something to it. There's got to
Yeah.
be some crunch or something. Like maybe it's the fact that Snickers, like, so Milky Way is Assassin's Creed, Snickers is Assassin's Creed 2, or even better, Milky Way is Mass Effect 1, and Snickers is Mass Effect 2.
That's doing a disservice to Mass Effect 1.
Well, oh, that's fair. That's fair. I don't know.
Milky Way is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Oh.
No, that's candy corn.
Nah,
Yeah.
I was saying
Okay.
that's
So,
candy corn.
all right. So since we opened up this can, what's the best candy? What's the best Halloween candy? There's only one answer.
Peanut butter cups.
100%. It's peanut butter cups. It's not close. It's peanut butter cups.
I will say it's
I like
closer.
I like Twix. I like Kit Kats. I like Snickers.
Yeah. Twix, Kit Kats, peanut M&Ms.
Well, yeah, the only M&M in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretzel M&Ms are great.
Pretzel ones are good.
Sean is correct. Baby Ruth is extremely
Baby
underrated.
Ruth. You know what?
That's a good one. That might be the underrated.
I'm gonna go with that one.
Yeah.
Because to be honest, as of recently late, I don't know what it has been. The snack Baby Ruth size is just, it's like that perfect size. It's got the perfect amount of nuts in it.
Mm-hmm.
Like I love me a payday, but like once I'm done with one payday, I'm good for a while. Baby Ruth, man, I could literally like pop it in my mouth constantly.
Yeah.
I'm just like, you got any more in there? You know, little man, what'd you get for daddy this year?
Dude, the dad tax on Halloween candy, my tax rate is unbelievable. It's like 80% for me.
My
Kids.
son doesn't like chocolates.
Oh, kids, here's the strawberry candy that's wrapped in the strawberry wrapper. Here you go. You guys like that? Can I have a peanut butter cup? No! Mine. Three Musketeers, also underrated. Love that nougat. Love it.
Oh, yeah.
Also, Mounds is way better than Almond Joy. Don't at me. Let's move on.
Oh, you.
Wait, our next question is from Smithy.
Right now.
Our next question is from our good friend Smithy. If you had to defend yourself from home invasion, and the nearest thing you could defend yourself is video game related, what do you use as the weapon and why?
I use that Mounds because it's hard as a rock.
We're not talking about candy anymore. That's not video games at all.
Okay, so if I was a firm invasion, defend you as game related, golly, I'd say the PS3 is pretty heavy. If I could just chunk that at somebody.
I feel like that's too. I think it's too unwieldy.
Yeah.
I think the answer is. I guess it'd have to be something that we have here. So for me, it would be an Xbox One controller, because you could use it as two ways. You could use it as a projectile or go up and hit him, like you have brass knuckles. Power glove.
Oh, nice.
That's awesome.
I think you go back in time.
I mean, same thing with PS4 controller, but the Xbox One controller is much bulkier, and you can hit him with that corner, knock his ass out.
I have my old Wii controllers. I would say one of those.
Oh yeah, you could use those. That could be your devil daggers.
There you go.
That could be. Yeah, that's a fun question. Thank you, Smithy. It's time to bring it back to sports. Our good friend Josh Izzle, 2323 on Twitch. So, the Tampa Bay Lightning won the Stanley Cup, unfortunately, and the Tampa Bay Rays in baseball are in the World Series.
Who'd they beat?
Who did Tampa beat?
Yeah, who did Tampa Bay Rays beat?
Shit.
Let's go in the chat. Who did the Tampa Bay Rays?
I feel.
Tampa Bay
I know the answer. A bunch of fucking cheaters. So you got Tampa, and you got the Rays and the Lightning, and then of course you got the Tampa Bay Bucks, Tom Brady and crew. Can they pull off the sports trifecta and have three champions? Can the Rays win the World Series and then Tampa win the Super Bowl?
to be honest, like I can't. It's hard to answer that question just knowing what's going on right now in sports.
Sure.
I think that, I mean, obviously, I think Tampa can pull off the trifecta because they're literally, well.
So here's the thing. I think Tampa can win the World Series. I don't think they will. I think the Dodgers will win, but I think they can. I don't think the Bucks are going to win the Super Bowl. They're in the NFC alone. There are way better teams that are going to be there. Seattle, New Orleans, the Cowboys. Fuck the Cowboys. Yeah, the NFC is pretty stacked. That's not to say they can't, but I don't think they will.
Football team in the NFC.
So yeah. Absolutely
so
not
good,
Sean.
They don't have a name.
Absolutely not Sean. I will never say it with respect. So Josh also puts in who's more likely to get the trifecta because the LA has the Lakers, the Dodgers are in the World Series, and then you've got two teams. I think it's
Rams will never win a Super Bowl with homeboy at quarterback.
I think Tampa is more likely to win the
be
Super Bowl.
Better.
I think Tampa is more likely to win the Super Bowl this year than the Rams, but I don't think either will. I don't think either are going to get the trifecta.
Chargers won't even get, I dare say, third in their own division.
Right. So the answer is neither. Neither will. But I guess if I had to pick one, I guess it would be Tampa. We got one more question, and ladies and gentlemen, this is a visual question. Apologies to our people that listen to us on the podcast networks. Visit us on MC Gamescast.
To them.
And no, we're going to show the picture, bro.
No, but for the people who cannot
see
this,
yeah, no, absolutely.
Listen to the podcast.
Check us out on YouTube, MC Gamescast. Search for that. Okay. This question is from our good friend Warto, who is sitting in the chat. He sent us a picture, and I will present this picture now. It is a picture of a I guess that would be a centaur. I guess. It's a female centaur. And he has many questions. Now, I will go ahead and preface this by saying that if you are under the age of 18 or don't like to hear gross material, we're about to go there. So,
Whatever.
First question.
Scientific terms.
Sean's like, I'm out of here. First question. Does she have two vaginas? The answer is yes. She absolutely does.
Yeah.
But does she have two? But does she have two buttholes?
No.
No, she only has the one in the back, right?
Yeah.
And so we can't answer this in the next question.
Unless it's like Human Centipede, where like the head is just kind of stuffed up there.
So since she doesn't have two buttholes, the next question, which was, does she have to wipe both of them? She only has the one. So then Warto asks, is this two people?
And that's the
answer.
The part where
so obviously in this picture, the answer is yes. If that's a real picture, it looks like a real picture. So it is two people. And so if that's the case,
amazing cosplay.
Yeah, it is. And so if it is two people, is the back person's head up the other person's ass?
And where's her shoulders?
She doesn't have. Where's her arms? Where's her arms? Yeah.
Her boobs.
You can see her boobs. There's boobs there. There's absolutely. So she's got two sets of boobs. Warto, if you know her phone number, let me know. Both of them.
This is awesome. Thank
at the same time.
Much. You're very welcome, Warto.
Yeah, no, you know what? When I first saw when I first saw this, I was like, huh. But then I was like, we're answering this. This is amazing. It's a cool picture.
Weird that I'm aroused by that.
Like I said, if you've got Warto,
got some legs on that.
Yeah, she's got 4 legs.
And, 4 legs.
And Warto, like I said, hit me up if you know her number or their number or its number. Top boobs and bottom boobs.
You know how they say don't ever get behind a horse?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Ladies, I'm single. And ladies and gentlemen, that is the mailbag for this week. Thank you so much. I would just like to say more visual questions. More visual questions.
Oh boy.
Oh, it'll be cool.
Pandora's box has just been opened up.
Well, I mean, we'll make decisions. So that's going to do it for the mailbag. Thank you guys so much for that. Appreciate it. And
are you going to make this part of the podcast the thumbnail?
It's going to be the thumbnail.
For YouTube.
Yeah. Or maybe I'll just or maybe I'll just upload that picture as the thumbnail. It's not even us. That'd be hilarious. Yeah, so that's going to do it for the mailbag, and we're going to get into the last segment of the day, which is... And now, it's time for Tuesday Night Scatter Shooting with your host, Mitchell Barrett and Charlie Zarsuela, right here on the MC Gamescast. Oh, thank you so much, announcer. Appreciate you. I wonder who that guy is. I don't know who it is.
The thumb is back.
The thumb is great. Look at these thumbs. No swelling thumbs here, folks. Scatter shooting and wondering whatever happened to good Sonic the Hedgehog games.
It's been a while.
It's been a long time.
It's been a while.
All right, and that's scatter shooting for this week. All right, we're going to lead it off with Toys to Life game series Skylanders dominated the charts for nearly the last decade, with such classics as Chop Chop, Drobot, and Trigger Happy. There would come to be 175 different toys to collect. So you would think that Skylanders would hold the record for the most Toys to Life figures. You'd be wrong, though, as the company that holds that record, it has actually just gotten that record in the last year, Nintendo, which now have released 179 different toys in their Amiibo lineup with no end in sight. This story comes from www.ranker.com. Eric Smith was your typical man in love. He was so in love that he went out and bought his girlfriend the ring of her dreams. But when she popped the question, though, he got a response he could never have imagined. Instead of saying yes, she told him that she couldn't marry him because she was in love with another man. Not only that, she had been having sex with him on the regular, in Eric's car, and the CD in the player that he had been listening to for the past month was a mix that the guy gave to her while they were banging. While most stories would end with this poor Eric... While most stories would end with poor Eric breaking down and spiraling into a deep depression only to find himself 6 months later with a Grizzly Adams beard and a cocaine habit, this one has a happy twist. Eric, being the level-headed guy that most of us wish we could be, decided not to spend time dwelling on such a vicious shit demon that he almost married. Instead, he promptly sold the $2,000 custom ring on eBay and spent the money on the only thing that could possibly make him happy. A full-size replica custom suit of Spartan armor from Halo. This gorgeous piece of equipment weighed 40 pounds and was modeled after the main character of Halo, Master Chief. It also came fully equipped with the signature golden visor and LED light-ups. So, let that be a lesson to all you heartache dudes out there. Fucking, I don't know.
What's the lesson?
Sell your rings and buy Spartan armor. Come on down to the offices of Mitchell Barron. He will help you get over all of your depressing moments. This week in video game history, these are games that came out this week over the years. 1992, Super Mario Land 2 6 Golden Coins on the Game Boy was the first appearance of Wario.
Ooh.
This one's for Josh. 1997, the original Grand Theft Auto came out on the PC. In the year 2000, this week, in fact, what will be in 6 days from now, was the release, 20-year anniversary now, of the PlayStation 2. It was the last system that I bought first day. 1 year later, Grand Theft Auto 3 for the PS2. And then 3 years later, Grand Theft Auto San Andreas for the PS2. So Grand Theft Auto really, really liked putting games out at this time. In fact, Vice City came out 2 days ago in 2002. In 2005, Charlie, this one's for you. Resident Evil 4 came out on the PlayStation 2.
Oh, wow.
In 2010, Fable 3 and Rock Band 3 came out. And this one's for me. In 2013, Rocksmith 2014 came out. A game that I love dearly. In Charlie, this one's for you. In 2014, Batman Arkham Origins was released. And finally, in 2018, 2018's Game of the Year, and I will hear no argument, Red Dead Redemption 2 came out. And we're moving on. And finally, a man rings the doorbell at a whorehouse. A lady answers the door, and there's a guy with no arms or legs wearing a Mario shirt, and she says, "Sir, no offense, but what do you think you're going to be able to do here?" And he says, "How do you think I rang the bell?" And you've been listening to Tuesday Night Scatter Shooting with your pal Mitchell Barrett right here on the MC Gamescast. You see, he was talking about his dick. He rang the bell with his dick.
Oh, we got it.
By the way, that was not a video game joke. I added the Mario shirt to make it video game related. Oh, man. And that's going to do it for episode 13. Charlie, it's great to be back. I'm glad I'm back. Good. This was great. This felt good. This was fun. One quick announcement, everybody. With Charlie's successful podcast that he did last week, we are going to start every week switching off the home of the podcast. So next week, you will find the MC Gamescast at 9 p.m. Central Time on twitch.tv/Charzar81. Charlie did it flawlessly last week, and he's able to do all the sounds and all that nonsense. And he did a flawless victory. It was a fantastic podcast. I didn't get to listen to the entire thing, but I listened to a good portion. You did a great job by yourself. That seems very hard to do, doing it by yourself. I just realized that the Centaur picture is still up.
I keep looking at it.
It's still up on the screen. Let's take that off as we close this thing out. We're doing great. We're doing great. Look at that, Rocket League. It's the best game of all time, and nobody could tell me otherwise. So yes, next week catch us at the Charzar81 Twitch channel. Same podcast time, same podcast the night, and we're gonna turn the music on, and we're doing great.
Like the end of Flight Simulator. We're just approaching that runway.
Charlie, you should be back on Thursday with some more Resident Evil 2. Is that correct?
Yes. I will be back with some more Resident Evil 2. We have just discovered freaking Mr. X. Mm-hmm. Can't wait to yell at the top of my lungs. I might have some surprise stuff because I'm off the next 2 days.
Perfect.
As well, so I might have some midday stuff as well.
Perfect. And Josh Shizzle should be back soon. Get well, buddy. I should be back hopefully by this weekend. I'm enjoying my time off, but I'm ready to get back to it.
Until dawn.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see.
Come on.
We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. I'm not giving up on it. But so for Charlie Zarzuela, Mitchell Barrett, thank you guys so much. It's great to be back. We'll see you guys next week for the MC Gamescast. Goodbye, everybody.